We spend a lot of time talking about systems and technology, and we spend a lot less time talking about relationships and how to make connections and to how to help our staff feel valued, appreciated, and acknowledged. And that does not mean that you have to be politically correct, nor does it mean that you have to be walked on like a doormat, but that there are realistically ways that we can start to improve not just our day, but every person we come in contact with. And now we are talking about civility, aren't we? We've got to get to a place where we start treating people with dignity and respect. And if we don't do that, we're going to be surrounded by those that have retired on duty. I call them rods. And rods are no more helpful to you and no more valuable to you than those who are shopping their resume. Would you agree? Connection over content. If you want to get the best out of your people, connect first. So think about task-driven people, and I'm going to call out my task-driven people, of which I am in your camp. So I'm not making fun of you, I'm pointing out the obvious. So task-driven people, we get an email. The email says, hey, I need the following answers to the following questions. And task-driven people see that, they're very busy. The email comes in, they immediately change the color of the font, they answer the questions in the email, and they hit send. I hear laughter. Is this sounding familiar? Guilty as charged. Then the person that they sent it to is more connection oriented, and they're mad. Why are they mad? It's okay. Why are they mad? Anybody know? Because they didn't answer, hi, thanks, what a great question. Let me see if I can answer that more thoroughly for you. Here's my thoughts on the subject. And we have these two polarizing points of view. And from a civility perspective, we both go after the character of the person who didn't even take the time to have a conversation. And the task-driven person goes, I can't get my time back, and I judge time as a measurement of respect, and you stole it from me when you didn't let me just expediently respond to it. Does it sound like how we can get into some conflicts very easily? And I think this is one of the challenges that faces us, and I think we have these same kind of conversations with homelessness and how we're addressing it, and there are these really polarizing kinds of conversations, but our bias, our perspective, is what erodes the trust. It is the piece where relationships crumble. This is more important than you might realize. And when it comes to civility, if people feel like you tolerate incivility on a regular basis, you are letting them down, and they don't trust you. So we have to show we have their back. How do you demonstrate you've got their back? Hopefully not in life and death situations. But how do you? And I want you to just think about that as we work through this, but really think about how important that element is. Because I would have walked through broken glass for somebody I trusted. You couldn't have stopped me. The other move is something that I never learned in school, but learned on the job. And I want to share it with you. And that is change your spine to change your mind. So think about that. Change your mind by changing your spine. Most of us in this room realize that everything in an up position makes us happy. Do you agree with that? Up position makes us happy. Kicks endorphins and dopamine. That means thumbs, toes, nose, eyebrows. Up position.
Engaged enough, to make extra eye contact.
How much eye contact is enough eye contact? How much?
Say pretty steady eye contact, just nodding and acknowledging. listening to what you're saying?
So I'm gonna, okay, thank you. So he said nodding, listening, consistent eye contact. This is a tricky one, isn't it? There is enough eye contact when they look away from you, or their eyes get really big and they start to get this move. You know, we've had that moment when people are piercing stares right through us, right? But I'm going to encourage you not to nod. And this is coming from my negotiation and mediation training. Nodding gives the illusion you're in agreement. So unless you're in agreement, stop bobbing the head. Okay? Is that okay? And I mean that because we often aren't listening as much, monitoring the synchronicity of your body language, your nonverbals, with your verbals. And when they are asynchronatic, in other words, we're not having, I'm saying yes and shaking my head no, I'll believe the shaking of the head before I'll believe what you verbally said. So when we see you nodding, that does not sound like listening to the person who has an issue or is emotionally invested in something. It looks like you agree with them. Now your opening statement is, I hear you, however, comma, and now they're mad at you. Okay, so we have to be conscious of this move, which we've all practiced. And so I encourage you to just give like go-aheads, you know, give that move versus yes, and. They'll get you into trouble. So just practice kind of the stillness. Tilt your head. Lift your eyebrow if you need to control your own emotions. But do the things that we kind of catch that piece of listening. So disagreements are not going to go away. They are in our politics. They are in our churches. They are in our community. They are online. They are offline. But if we adopt some of this mindset of doing no harm, if we believe that we can, we will very likely influence and change every person we come in contact with because we set the bar differently. Influence comes down to 3 moves: attention, affiliation, and approach. Be mindful of content doesn't trump connection. Connection comes first. That builds the trust, forges the relationship, and allows you to be able to make mistakes and communicate differently. So be intentional.